Hello and welcome to the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. Podcast's all about how to get your movie made, how to get it seen by other people, and how to get it awesome. No intro today. It's our first show from me being in Oregon. I'm not fully set up yet. My iPad probably hasn't been charged since the move, and so I had no intro today. But you know the podcast, you know the song. You can just sing along in your own head, in your car. Play the drums on your steering wheel. I apologize, everybody. We'll be better next week. And we will probably have an outro today. What's up, Chad?
What's up? Long time no snow.
Happy first show in a while. Yeah.
It's been a long time. It's been several weeks. How's Oregon? How you liking it?
Oregon is amazing. I am so happy here. I'm there. It's good. It's so good. It's so good in so many ways.
You have to go to my bachelor party because it's gonna be in Portland.
Oh, fuck yes. Oh, yep. Man, that's going to be amazing. Yep, yay.
Yep. And next summer, beginning of next fall, something like that. We'll figure it out.
Yes, that would be fantastic. Yes, Portland is, well, I'm not actually in Portland, but I'm really close by. And Oregon in general is the place. It's my kind of place. It's my type of country folk.
Pretty.
It's very pretty. So we are going to begin the show. As always, we like to mention at the beginning of the show, if you are watching this live, feel free to comment on the YouTube channel or tweet us on Twitter at #WeMakeMovies, and we will respond live. Now, we do want to mention, we don't want to make a whole big thing about it, but it is, of course, September 11th. And so I just felt that I wanted to acknowledge that. And geez, what is it, 15 years now? Is it the 15-year anniversary of the actual day? And that's crazy. Yeah. So take a sec, think about that if you haven't already today. I am sure that if you are watching this live or later today, you already knew about it. But man, what a 15 years it has been since. Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into movie stuff. We have begin as always with the main topics, and I am first in the lineup. So I'm behind, partially because of the move and also because of other factors. I'm behind on a lot of what is going on in the world, and in particular, Netflix shows. But there's a few right now that are how do you say, freaking insanely popular. The first one, of course, is Stranger Things, and I feel like literally everybody in the world except me has watched Stranger Things at this point.
Oh my God. I mean, I talk about it on Things to Know, which you clearly haven't taken a gander at yet. But,
no, yeah. I don't want to do a whole thing, but because I know that you're going to talk about that and everything.
So good.
I know. And then the other one that I hear not as many people talking about, but the people who do talk about it are much more like passionate about it. Even than they are of Stranger Things, is The Get Down. Mm-hmm. I want to watch that show more than Stranger Things, just because everybody who is talking about it is like, this is the greatest thing, and it's so cool and it's so amazing. Like it has got this like very, very passionate following. And I've got my things pasted in a weird place today, but I got into a whole conversation with with somebody sort of about this recently, and for me, basically, it seems like Netflix, with every single thing that they're doing, every new project that they are coming out with, they are mastering their delivery format, and it gets better every single time. Like, we already knew that they were experts on like delivering the binge watch experience.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But like, they continue to get better and improve upon it, and like, because they are not trying to go for the big what do you call it? The big screen experience on the small screen. And yes, I'm looking at Game of Thrones, like trying to do these like huge battle scenes and everything like that. Like, that works on the big screen. It doesn't not work on the small screen, but it's just not. I feel like Netflix really understands what we actually want from a television experience as opposed to a movie going experience. And that is like what they're capturing.
Stranger Things is 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And The Get Down is 6 episodes.
Yeah.
The first one is an hour and a half, mind you, but they're both so fantastic. And I think they're much easier to binge. I mean, I talk about them under What's Next a little bit, but But you can binge an 8-episode show, obviously a lot with a lot less pain than binging 13.
Yeah.
And I don't think, and I'm glad that they're not pushing things. I mean, I have a feeling the Marvel stuff is going to continue to push the 13 episodes. I really hope not, because it's not necessary. You know what I'm saying? It's like I love those shows. I mean, September 30th, Luke Cage is coming, by the way. I'm taking that day off. And I really hope that if it isn't enough content for 13 episodes, I hope it's just 10. You know what I mean? I really hope that's the case, because you don't need that filler. It detracts.
Yes.
It's not necessary.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But they really, if you haven't seen, by the way, if you haven't seen the Luke Cage trailer, that was my final note on this segment. Check it out. It looks so good. It looks so good. And there have been interviews with the actor. I think is it Mike Coulter?
That sounds right. I don't know off the top of my head, but that sounds right.
Well, anyway, there's been interviews with him, and he's like, and some people have sort of been like, so I could see how this show could like maybe get into some sensitive topics. Does it do that? Is it? He's like, yeah, it doesn't restrain itself from getting there. And there could be an actor on the press trail saying the right thing, but I think just with everything, I hope that it's not, and I think that that's really good. So I'm just saying, Netflix, they are the dog to take down. They are the top dog to take down now. I really don't think it's HBO anymore. I don't.
I don't know. Let's wait till Westworld comes, because that's looking pretty ridiculous. You know, maybe you're right. I don't know.
I'm not that excited about it.
No.
But go ahead. Let's move on to the next topic.
Okay. Well,
we forgot to mention that Valentina's not here.
Yes. You probably noticed Valentina's not here.
If you're watching us live, Valentina's not here.
We're not sure where she is.
But we have nobody to blame but ourselves, because it has been several weeks of several. Yes.
Mind you, I was on the road getting engaged.
Oh yeah, engaged guy.
Engaged now. Anyway, moving right along.
Yes.
So this what I'm going to talk about now would normally go under things to know, but there's so much I want to talk about under things to know and it's also, to be honest, it's really connected to We Make Movies in an important way. So it's actually kind of important that it have its own thing. So anyway, this is it. We Make Movies, as you probably know if you've paid attention to this podcast in the past. We shot our very first pilot titled Off the Grid about a year ago. And we've been pushing it through post-production ever since then. We are very near the end of that process, and so we have scheduled a screening at the Sundance Theater here in Los Angeles on Sunset and Crescent Heights on October 6th, which is a Thursday. There are not a lot of tickets available. We, in fact, don't even know if we're going to put any on sale. There's a bunch that's kind of up in the air. But we are definitely giving away 40 tickets to Gold and Silver We Make Movies members on a first-come, first-served basis. The tickets are going to be available. You're just going to have to sign up for them at a URL, which I will say in a moment. This Wednesday morning at 9 a.m., that URL will go live. Don't bother going there now, because it's just going to be like, hey, there's no site here. But 9 a.m. Wednesday, that's, by the way, September 14th, 2016, in case you are watching or listening to this at any other time or sometime in the future. But that's anyway, so that's where don't bother going to that URL until Wednesday morning, September 14th, 9 a.m. after, because then that's when the page will exist. That URL is wemakemovies.org/off-the-grid-tickets. Again, that is wemakemovies.org/off-the-grid-tickets. That should be easy to remember if you remember the name of the show, which is Off the Grid, and you want a ticket. Very easy. Anyway, again, it's the first 40 silver and gold members who sign up for the tickets on the URL. You're going to get one free ticket. It does not give you plus ones. You can only get one ticket per person. Anybody after the first 40 gold and silver members who sign up, you're automatically going to go onto a wait list. Again, we don't know how many tickets we will actually put on sale at the door, but stay tuned to our newsletter, stay tuned to the website, and we'll let you know. If you have any questions right now, you're burning to get them answered, go ahead and email me at chad@wemakemovies.org, and I will answer them as quickly and as accurately as I can. Just keep in mind that there are some specifics we actually do not know yet, but there's a little bit of time. It's today's what, September 11th. Hello. Of course. So it's about 3 weeks away, October 6th. So there's some time. But anyway, there you have it. That's everything.
And if you are watching us right now as he's making that announcement, and you have a quick question that can be answered easily, now you can comment live. I see we have 3 people watching live, so if you want to drop a question or anything else, you can comment on my beard, which I have not maintained at all. Moving to a small town in Oregon means I don't give a fuck. I don't care about anything.
I don't think anybody in small towns in Portland. I think by nature you have to not care.
Yeah, I think it's a requirement. I think if you start to care, you get a knock on your door, and it's like, we're the neighborhood council, and we notice you've been cutting your beard every day.
That's not okay.
No. All right. So for my next thing, going back to geek stuff, Chad, and listeners know, I'm not the biggest fan of the DC cinematic universe.
I don't know if I know anybody who is.
I mean, I think that there's some people who are like, I think that there's some people who like want to be fans of it. I guess.
Yeah. I call.
And I don't even. Yeah, I don't even want to be a fan of it. I don't even want. I'm not even like, boy, I wish they would make good Batman movies or good Superman movies, because I've never really cared about any of those characters.
Yeah.
Ryan Potter has managed to make me get somewhat excited about the DC cinematic universe. I was already a little bit excited about seeing Ben Affleck's self-directed Batman films, right? Like, okay, cool. But now Ryan Potter is campaigning. For anybody who doesn't know, Ryan Potter has been a Nickelodeon actor for a long time, but he also he voiced Hiro Hamada in Big Hero 6, which it's very funny. I just realized corrected to Hero with an E, not Hero with an I. It's with an I. Frickin' autocorrect. Don't correct me and make me wrong. So Ryan Potter, he is campaigning on social media really hard to get himself cast as Robin in the Batman films, if there is a Robin in the Ben Affleck Batman films that are coming. He totally looks the part, first of all, like 100%. He's got the look, he's got the hair, he's got the youth, he's got the everything. So he just went ahead and made a fight scene of himself being Robin for Ben Affleck and posted it online. He's really charming, got a lot of charisma, and I'm just like, just give him the job, because that story in and of itself is like the sort of, I mean, it's just from a strictly PR and marketing standpoint and everything. Holy crap, that's great marketing for the film. That's the sort of behind the scenes awesome stuff that gets people excited in films, that I think is a necessary component for these things this day.
DC
and also
has been traditionally awful with the way that they treat that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like, remember when that mini Wonder Woman trailer thingy came out? It was a fan fiction thing. They shut it down.
Yeah,
and it was so good. It was so stupid. Like, Marvel is very smart about that.
Yeah,
they don't necessarily embrace them, but they don't shut them down.
They don't officially endorse it, but they're like, you ask one of them at a panel at Comic-Con, and it's like, oh, I've seen that. Yeah, it was good.
You let it go. You let it go, because all it does is build up for free your brand. You know, it's like, so I don't understand. See, and I hope they don't shut this down. The fact that Ryan Potter has some, is a known quantity out there. But the same thing happened with that what are the name of those guys that come together into like the
Voltron?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, was it Voltron or was it no, it was the other ones.
Power Rangers?
Power Rangers. Remember the Power Rangers fan?
Did that get shut down?
It got shut down hella quick.
Bullshit.
It's crazy. And the people were all big, they were fairly big names in it. So I really hope DC doesn't I think that probably by now DC is starting to actually take some legitimate notes from Jesus Marvel.
Christ.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think he should play Robin. I think it should totally happen. And last note on a related topic, not the same topic, because this doesn't deserve its own segment. I want to toss a big middle finger out to the people who are freaking out about Zendaya playing Mary Jane. Y'all can just go fuck yourselves. I think it's going to be amazing.
Sweet.
Carry on.
Okay, so this is going to be a bizarre segment. I'm about to say a bunch of words that I only vaguely understand, and you'll see why at some point you'll see why.
Rutabaga.
If I say
It's
anything,
a vegetable, right?
If you guys listening, especially if you guys are, on Twitter or whatever, know that understand what the heck I'm talking about, and you know that I'm saying it wrong or whatever, please say something, because anyway, I would love to actually know more about this. My lack of understanding notwithstanding, this is a very interesting development, and one day soon, I will hopefully be able to explain it better. Okay, so that disclaimer aside, here we go. I assume you've all heard of the online currency Bitcoin. If you haven't,
Yes.
well, the best explanation I can provide, maybe Garrett, you can improve upon it, is
No.
it's a kind of digital currency that operates independently from any actual bank. Now, beyond that, you're pretty much on your own. One of the things in particular that I don't understand is how the hell can you tell that you've actually bought a Bitcoin from anybody? Like, can't you copy digital stuff? Isn't that the whole point? Anyway, I don't understand it. At any rate, that's not the particular rabbit hole we're going down right now, although it is one I am probably interested in at least understanding on my own at some point in the future. But anyway, this is Ethereum. That's what I'm about to talk about. Now, Ethereum, it appears to be a decentralized platform for applications, and which means that it is a place, it's sort of a bunch of servers all around the world are sort of, they have all these applications on them kind of at the same time. That's as much as I understand that part of it. Now, it was started in 2014. It continues to be developed by this Swiss nonprofit called the Ethereum Foundation. Now, stay with me if I haven't already lost you. Apparently, baked into Ethereum is another digital currency similar to Bitcoin called, I don't know how you pronounce this, ETH. I just call it ETH, I guess. ETH. ETH. Anyway, now, the reason I'm talking about any of this at all is that there has now been a film funded 100% by ETH. And the film is called F.
Not even once.
I don't know what that. I don't know what that means.
Meth, crystal meth, not even once. Like the drug campaign, not even once.
I've never seen that. I've never seen the drug campaign. Anyway, back to this very bizarre thing. So this film has been funded by the currency, the digital currency of Ethereum called ETH, and the film is called The Pitts Family Circus, and it's going to begin production in Australia in early 2017. Now, they are still taking on investors. If you are interested in becoming an investor, you actually, first of all, have to somehow get yourself some ETH. And then at this article that will be included in the show notes, at the bottom of it is this really long string of numbers and letters through which you can track down it's called a smart contract that people are using to give money to this thing. So that's a lot. I'm sorry I don't understand this more, but it is very interesting. There's going to be a link at the bottom of this in the show notes. So if you want to go down this rabbit hole more, feel free to do that. And again, if you know more about this.
And who wouldn't want to go down this rabbit hole more?
Well, listen, Bitcoin is big. You know what I'm saying? And this stuff, I mean, the fact that these guys funded a movie using this, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah.
You're so not interested.
I'm like, I don't even know. It's like, seriously, it is. I mean, no, I get that it's a legitimate thing. I mean, money is an idea backed by confidence, right? We're like, okay, so we have money, and so any currency is just as valid as any other currency.
Right.
But this literally does feel like somebody walked in and was like, I funded a film on fairy dust. I sprinkled it on the actors. And it's like,
except
okay.
It worked. Except it worked. And
except it worked.
What is interesting about Ethereum that I have not, and the fact that there's even a currency attached to it, is that it basically, the concept is it's sort of it's taking the control out of these big companies and big banks, and it's trying to put the control into the hands of the regular people. So in theory, the philosophy of these different things, I think, is really quite interesting. How they work, I don't really understand yet, but I imagine that they do work. You know what I mean? And
one would hope. And
and I was doing a little bit of research on Ethereum in general, and it does sound really interesting that you're running these applications on multiple platforms at the same time. Now, because which means that, you know, Apple can't shut you down. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And Google can't shut you down, and all these things, they can't shut you down. But at the same time, like if you do get shut down, if there is a bug, the bug apparently takes a lot longer to fix and stuff like that. Now, how you can attach a currency to that, I have no freaking idea. But it is, I mean, the fact that they went that far, you know what I mean? Into this particular philosophy, into this particular idea. I find that really interesting. Yeah, it could completely fall to pieces tomorrow, or it could end up being the biggest thing since sliced bread, you know, next year. I don't know. But whatever it is the case, a film just got made or is about to get made using this currency. So there you have it.
Crazy. I wonder if, like, because the long storied history of technology and human progress in general is that the first person to do a thing usually doesn't become the biggest one, right? Like the first person who invented a computer wasn't IBM, but then IBM came along and became like the biggest thing, right? So with Bitcoin being the first e-currency, but not really like dominating the world with it necessarily,
right?
You wonder if, like, maybe it's not going to be ETH, but maybe somebody else is going to come along and all of a sudden e-currency is going to become like the next big thing in like society. And we'll, like, you know, you and I will be 20 years older and it's like, I remember a time back in the day.
Yeah, exactly.
When we didn't have, but I don't.
That's right. And all the money in the world.
And I don't get it. I don't get it or kind of the point of it or anything like that. And yet I realize that every major thing has always had, you know, it's all been, there's always been people who are like, I don't get it. And it's like,
right. Like, just to think of like 30 years ago, people were like, yeah, no, people are going to walk around with their phones everywhere. We would have been like, why would they do that?
Yeah. Why would you carry
a phone at their house?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Their phone's going to have a camera. It's like, I wouldn't want to hold a camera up to my face while I did a phone call. You'd have to use both hands.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
That's the nature. That is the nature of technology.
That's how it works. All right. So with the absence of Valentina this week, we will launch right into the main topics a bit. The general news was a bit shorter this week.
By the way, Valentina texted me. She was on a 7-hour flight. Where I do not know, but that's sorry, Valentina. Hope you.
I am so sorry for that experience having happened to you, Valentina. All right. So I wanted to talk about YouTube, which we're broadcasting on right now, which, interestingly, Chad, don't forget I have to talk to you after the show because we are not going to be able to do Google Hangouts anymore.
What?
As of tomorrow. It changes tomorrow. They are no longer available. Yep.
Shut your face.
I wish I could. Sometimes I legitimately wish I could. Yeah, we're going to have to figure out what the new solution is going to be. But that's not what we're talking about today. We're talking about another change in the platform, which I'm actually, well, I wouldn't say I'm fine with, but I just sort of, well, I want to talk about it. YouTube has pulled advertiser funding from certain videos on their platform. Their PR about it is that these videos are not advertiser friendly. In other words, they discuss controversial topics that their advertisers don't necessarily want their ads playing in front of for one reason or another. The rules are very vague about what is advertiser friendly and what isn't, and the application of the rules is also very vague. In other words, some videos that appear to have very similar content, one of them is flagged, one of them is not, and it's just demonetized immediately. It's not like they just demonetize the video. Yeah. This isn't actually a new thing. It's just that they only started recently alerting creators to it and giving them an appeals process to remonetize their content. So when this happened and when it became a big story, when it broke, so to speak, I went on a little bit of a Twitter rant about it. And not to toot my own horn, the Twitter rant went kind of viral because at the end of it, at the end of the whole big long thread, I tagged a bunch of my favorite big YouTubers and was like, hey, you know, I would love to hear any of you have thoughts on this. Now, I'll do this every once in a while when I talk about something that I think would be important to these big people, but they never fucking actually read it. They never actually read it or answer my tweets, right? Well, this time one of them did. Actually, two of them did. And so there was a whole big long thing. Francesca Ramsey and the one janitor. Francesca Ramsey was she's Chescale on the internets, and she was on the Nightly Show. She just was recently on the Nightly Show as a writer right before it got canceled, unfortunately. But and then the one janitor's big YouTuber. They're both great, awesome people. And everybody who has an opinion on this, well, no, that's not true. A lot of people are pretty like emotionally involved in this, right? There's a few links that will be posted in the description about this. Freddie Wong's Medium article is my personal favorite on terms of what he's saying and the quality of his argument and everything like that.
Can you give us a quick nut? I'm super curious what Freddie Wong's saying about it.
Well, what he says is basically the kind of the same thing that I'm saying, which is that I mean, first of all, it is true that YouTube should be clearer about how this works and more consistent in their implementation of it, right? Hank Green recently formed a guild that I think most people should join. It's called the Internet Creators Guild. He kind of created it with YouTubers in mind, but it's also just for anybody who's creative. So like I've joined it as an author more than as a YouTuber, because being an author is my living, right? Like I don't make a living or any significant amount of money from YouTube. So, and that guild is arguing and trying to get the rules clarified. But at the same time, Hank and John and a lot of other really smart YouTubers were not affected by this. And here's why. If you have built a YouTube career on the YouTube ad system, you're doing the internet wrong. Like you're making an internet career the wrong way.
Sorry,
because
that, please.
If you have been building your career, your YouTube career on the YouTube ad system, you're doing it wrong. You should not, that is not what you should be doing, because what you're doing is you're gaming an algorithm over which you have no visibility, no control, and for which you are being paid by people you never meet for a service that you also don't control.
So let me, I'm just trying to understand what you're saying here. Are you saying that if you used, if you dug into the analytics and use that information to build?
No. I'm saying if you are relying on your main source of income being the YouTube ad system and ad monetization, as opposed to merchandising, Patreon, direct support from your viewers, right? Because what you're doing instead is you're playing an algorithm, and you have no visibility of the situation. All you know is I do the right things to the algorithm and money appears. Well, what actually happens is that you attract eyeballs, and advertisers say, hey, we want the attention of these people who might possibly buy our product. And then they give money to YouTube, and YouTube gives half of the money to you. But you don't know who those advertisers are.
Right.
You almost all the time, you have no idea what ads are playing on your videos. Right. You have no relationship. You don't even, like, so many of these YouTubers think that their product is views, eyeballs, that sort of thing. But if that's the product, who's your customer? Who's your consumer? And when you realize that your customer is the advertiser, how can you possibly think that you can build a safe, not just sustainable, but a safe career with customers you never know? You have no idea who they are or why they want to advertise with you or any of that. It's all just this like screen of YouTube, right? Now, I might be a little bit jaded about this because the same thing has happened in the indie publishing space and on Amazon specifically. So Amazon, the biggest ebook market in the world, there's a lot of money to be made there, and a lot of people got very, very busy figuring out how to make money on Amazon's algorithms, right? So they got in there and they designed ebooks. They designed ebooks that were specifically crafted to appeal to Amazon's algorithms in all the right ways, so that Amazon itself, without any real work on their part, put that book in front of so many people that enough of them bought it for these people to make a living at it, right?
Right.
And then once Amazon figures out what they're doing, they go, oh, okay, well, what we are trying to do is serve good quality books to customers who will read them and be happy with them. And the way that we've designed this algorithm to achieve that end. And so you are using this algorithm in a certain way. And so we can change the algorithm to exclude your books and continue providing good quality books to people who are going to read them and be happy that they read them.
Can
they would
explain something to me, though. How people figure out these algorithms? Like, they're not.
It's just trial and error. There are people who have designed computer programs that write a book and title it using words.
Insane.
Yeah, seriously. And the books are gibberish. They make no fucking sense.
But people are buying them?
And people are buying them.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah, because it's literally just people sitting there analyzing and just looking at the code all day. And they know that the code, and they figure out that the code says that if they put this book with this title, with these words in the book itself here, and it's got this link in the book, they will make, $500 a day off of Amazon. And that's that's what they do. They just sit there and they tickle it. And every time Amazon changes it changes their rules, authors around the internet scream and rant and cry and rave because all of a sudden they're not making money.
Right.
But they were making money off of Amazon's algorithm, right? Which is not what you should be. Writing good books and marketing them well and getting paid by your readers and meeting your readers. And that's what YouTubers, a lot of these YouTubers who are complaining about these changes, have not been doing. They don't even know who their audience is. A lot of them don't even pay attention to, like, what's their demographic, what age range watches them, what genders generally watch them. That's what they are right now. They are pissed off that they can't make an easy 10 grand by making a video titled, "I farted on a baby's face?" with a thumbnail of a crying baby and a butt cheek. But it's actually a corner lamp.
I really want to see that video.
I will make that video if you'll give me 10 grand. But no, YouTube doesn't want you doing that anymore. And if you were banking your online career on the fact that YouTube would show that video to people and give you other people's money for doing so, you're kind of an idiot.
Yeah.
Like, frankly.
It's funny that you say this. I actually...
Not to mention a jerk for farting on a baby's face, but although we know you didn't actually, that's just a clickbait title.
A guy I know, whose name I will not mention, he was a kid. He was like, I don't know, 18, 19 years old when search engine optimization just began. And he did really, really well with it. And so in the early days of YouTube, like years and years ago, he talked to me and he was like, hey, I know how to optimize YouTube in such a way to get, and so that's what I haven't actually seen him since then. But that's what he started to do, was like reach out to people to do exactly what you're talking about, but on YouTube, Yeah. And that's so interesting because you see Google fighting this, because even with their search engine optimization,
absolutely,
they're constantly having to tweak their algorithm. I don't understand how people are able to get under the hood and see how that algorithm works. I don't understand how they can. I mean, are they hacking?
There's people who are a lot better. It's not, I mean, so like most hacking isn't like actually penetrating their database. Most hacking is just
running a bunch of processes.
Running a bunch of numbers. Yeah, running processes and seeing what the results are. And so you figure out, okay, if I publish 5,000 5,000 web pages that all have this word in the header 2 text, but not the header 1 text, that puts me 500,000 places higher in Google's search engine. And so then I know, and you just do that over and over and over again. And then you just like figure it all out.
Yeah.
So it turns out that the solution for YouTubers is the same as it was for authors, and that is go directly to your audience, form a relationship with them, and get your funding from them.
Yeah.
The only rock solid evergreen advice for indie authors is build an email list. If you build up an email list of readers who like you, and then you email them when you put out a new book, it doesn't matter if Amazon's algorithm helps you out or not, because they already come and buy your book. And then if the books are really good, then they tell their friends about it, et cetera, et cetera. It all grows from there. One example of this in the indie author space, again, because just that's what I'm like super familiar with. Amazon cracked down on erotica really, really hard a few years ago, and they made it so that it's virtually impossible to find in their store, to find erotica. A lot of erotica authors went out of business, or like started writing clean romance, or like changed this, or, you know, did that or whatever. And they were like, well, fuck it. If Amazon's not going to help me sell erotica, then what's the point? But I know a few erotica authors from back in those days who just kept doing the same thing because they didn't give a fuck. When they published their book, they sent an email to their email list of 25,000 people, and they said, I published a new book. And they gave a link directly to the book, and people went to Amazon and they bought it. It never made it onto Amazon's top, top bestseller list, even though it sold enough copies to do that, because Amazon suppressed it. But they don't care. They have their audience, and they're writing, their erotica novels, which that's what their audience wants. And there you go. And they've got that direct relationship. And so YouTubers who are doing this, Hank Green, John Green, everybody on Patreon, everybody who's making a living through their merchandising or their books that they write in addition to their YouTube channel or everything like that, they're sort of shrugging their shoulders. They're like, dang, I lost my ad revenue. Oh, well, I take a 5 or a 10% hit on my business, or maybe I don't even, because the people who are really getting hit by this are people who have built their entire fucking career on clickbait. And that's who's getting hit.
Yeah.
They are the ones going, I farted on a baby's face, ? And they've got their whole channel is filled with shit like that. Whereas, like, I will be the first to admit, I use clickbait titles. I use, like the funny thumbnail with the weird face and everything like that. And then once you're in the video, I give you actual meaningful content that I think you'll care about, rather than just trying to keep you watching as long as I possibly can, because the longer you watch, the more money I make. Right. I want to give you like an actual thing, right? Yeah. And I want you eventually to buy my book and support me on Patreon and all that sort of thing. But controversy bait is a terrible business model. It's a terrible business model that only succeeded because YouTube's algorithm was specifically focused on getting as many eyes as possible. And it meant that the most terrible, horrible people in the world could go on YouTube and become overnight successes. And I am talking about the people like Nicole Arbor, this unbelievably terrible person who became literally a YouTube's overnight success by telling fat people that they should die. Oh, right? God. Nobody likes her. Nobody wants her videos. Nobody wants to give her money for her videos. They just want to watch her so that they can know what she said, because people are talking about it. They want to know what her arguments are so they can refute it. And sometimes they want to hate watch her. Sorry. That's no problem. And sometimes they want to hate watch her. And now YouTube is saying, yeah, we're not letting you do that anymore. So the least people can do is solicit their own brand deals. If you still want to make money off of advertising, get branding agreements with companies, then at least you have a face-to-face relationship with the people who are paying you money to advertise their product. But when you're just doing it all behind YouTube as this smokescreen broker thing, you are literally building a career on quicksand. And so I am not super, I guess, sympathetic for people who've been doing this for a long time. And I just think that it's happened too many times in too many other industries to go, oh, well, I had no idea they were going to change the rules on me. I don't know. So anyway,
especially with this kind of stuff, it happens constantly. Anytime that there's some kinds of search engine optimization, anything like that, the people who do it, the people who serve it, the people who use those, they're constantly changing the algorithm. So the people I know that are in this space, they know it's going to get switched up. You know what I mean? So it's like they don't take it. They're like, the hammer fell. You know what I mean? It's just like that's part of the industry. But I think you're right. I mean, I agree with you. By the way, I just realized I wasn't a Patreon supporter of you. So I became one just now. So
oh, Chad, you didn't have to do that, but thank you.
I was curious. how much you got from your Patreon people each month, and I won't say. You can go to patreon.com/.
Yeah, it's publicly on there. It's a few $100 a month.
Yeah, that's sweet. That's
It's nice. It's helpful. It's great.
That's great. That's
And
wonderful.
for the size of my YouTube audience, that is tremendous, actually. And I'm like super, super grateful to them.
That's part of what I was wondering is that do you also give, and I haven't had time to really peruse your page, but do you also give like book deals? Do you know what I'm saying? Like deals?
Yeah, yeah. So I create video, so I do rewards. Anybody who gives even just $1 a month, there's videos that I make for them. I try to make them every single weekend, and they're only for patrons. And it's usually just like a sort of like a little bit more of an in-depth explanation of like what I'm doing as I'm doing it, like a weekly summary of like what I'm doing and like strategy for like the next things that I'm doing. $5 and up. I actually give like my books. Like if people subscribe for $5 a month, they just get my books whenever I publish them. Yeah, 10 books and films. I also and they also get an acknowledgement on on my YouTube videos where I acknowledge my patrons. And then 20, there's a monthly hangout, and on the monthly hangout, I talk about like what I'm doing in really, really intense details, and people like actually get to see like how many books I'm selling and like, you know, how many, like I actually give the numbers of the business and all that sort of stuff. So again, like I have a relationship with these people, you know what I mean? And like their support means a lot to me. So anyway, yeah, that's what's happening with YouTube, everybody.
It's
so now you know.
I think it's really, I mean, I think that people, you know, especially my friends on the left are not fans in general of, oh, sorry, I just dropped my pen, sorry, onto our foster dog. I'm like covered in dogs, by the way. You can't see them, but they're, and Brando really felt strongly about that last topic. That's why he piped in. But,
I saw that.
But it's, I think it's, you know, a lot of my, like I was saying, a lot of my friends on the left, they talk smack about the, you know, the gig economy, they call it. I think the shared economy is a better term. All of this stuff, crowdfunding, it's all part of the same thing. And it's like, I mean, I think it's awesome that you're getting X number of bucks a month from the people who like you directly. The only person between you is the tiny percentage that Patreon takes themselves. I think that's wonderful that the world has changed like that. I think it's wonderful that if, you know, somebody gets hit by a frickin' terrorist attack in Boston, that the world comes together and pays for their surgery. Do you know what I'm saying? I love that there are these things out there. So it's like you can't take one without the other. And I get that there are some people that take advantage of it without a doubt, but there's also, you know, there are opportunities.
There's so much good being done with it.
Exactly. Anyway, so I'm going to go on to my topic if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it.
This isn't new news because this is not new news, but I find it very interesting. It's very interesting to me what has been happening behind the Nate Parker Birth of a Nation scandal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is it sort of in a nutshell. It recently came to light that Nate Parker, the director, producer, et cetera, behind Birth of a Nation, had been charged with rape in 1999. He was subsequently acquitted in that case, but the alleged victim ended up committing suicide in 2012. Now, since Birth of a Nation got the largest acquisition price in Sundance history, it's not in world history. There were two at Cannes that got 20 million each, but that's another story. Anyway, since Birth of a Nation got the largest in Sundance history back in January, there was a lot of buzz going around about this being there was a lot of Oscar talk, especially with the whole, you know, Oscars so white hashtag, you know, it was like they're just starved for something. But now that this 17-year-old rape story has come into the public eye, those Oscar talks are basically vanishing. And that is the part that is interesting to me. I mean, unless the accused is like a cop or a prosecutor, which I find obviously not. It's the system is jacked up when it comes to that. I tend to agree with the findings of juries and grand juries. However, campus rapes have been notoriously sort of anti-victim. So it's not quite so clear. At any rate, the fact that Parker and his co-accused, his roommate at the time, had harassed the accused, the alleged victim, on campus. So badly, by the way, that Penn State ended up having to pay $17,500, which to the victim, which, by the way, is a little. I mean, it's a little crazy. It's the kind of thing that could make you think of in conspiracies, because Birth of a Nation brought in 17.5 million.
Right.
Anyway, that's just crazy. 17,500 for the anyway.
Just adding three more zeros.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know. It's the kind of thing that sends a chill up your spine. But my point is, no matter whether or not you believe Parker, regardless of how, he completely says that the rape didn't happen, but he has been online. He's talked about how awful he feels regarding the way that he treated her, and the fact that he wasn't more understanding of her. He just attacked her as soon as she, verbally and stuff like that, which again is why Penn State had to pay so much money. And that was awful. And he apologized for that. Whether or not you believe him, whether or not you believe the rape existed, what is particularly interesting is the fact that this is sort of in the public eye, and the fact that it could really affect his box office, and very well has already destroyed his chances at getting an Oscar. Now, that fact is, to me, I find that a really good thing, regardless of whether or not, like, maybe nothing happened. Maybe this poor girl was very sick and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Obviously, if she wasn't sick, if it really did happen the way she remembers it, then obviously this is, it was still a miscarriage of justice. But the point is this is in the public eye now, and it is actually having an effect in a way that I've never seen this kind of thing happen in the past,
Yeah.
And that is a good thing. I mean,
with so many scandals like this as well.
Johnny Depp apparently having, you know what I mean? But Terrence Howard, the fact that Terrence Howard is fine regardless, I think it's really interesting that the general public is starting to care about this. And I know that there are people out there that probably think that the pendulum is swinging the opposite way. I don't know whether it is or it isn't, but the fact is we care about it. We're paying attention to it, and we as a movie-going public are actually, well, I guess we'll probably see when the box office for Birth of a Nation comes in. That actual fact, I don't know. I'm not going to say whether or not I'm going to go see it. And I completely understand. However you look at it, whether you go or you don't go, that choice is yours. That's your choice to make. But the fact that it is something that people are talking about, the fact that it could very well, I just think that that's great. I think that we should care about that. We should pay attention to the way that we treat one another, and especially when it comes to domestic abuse and rape and campus rape. This stuff needs to be paid attention to. We need to, reflect our support or disdain for it by how we spend our money.
I completely and totally agree with you. My only thing on it is, like, of course, the first time that this would become a problem it's probably not the first time, but it's the first major, like, this big of a scale, this big of a thing, all that sort of thing. The first time that it would become this big of a problem would, of course, have to be a black guy and not a white director or something like that, which is just, I mean, that doesn't change anything about the facts of what happened, and the fact that it's just like, because this has never happened before to people with less melanin in their skin. Anyway, but I totally agree. I do, like, have that complicated relationship with, there are certain artists who, like, I know, like, there are a lot of artists who I won't support because of the way that they are in their personal life, and then there are some who I'm, like, a little bit more lenient on. But when it does come to matters like this, like sexual abuse, like, Jesus Christ, like, no, that's way over my line, right?
Yeah. So I still haven't seen Dre's movie. Still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Because of that, because of the fact that, because of that awful thing he did too. I can't even remember her name, but I still haven't seen it.
Barnes. And others, I think. Really? Anyway.
That's awful.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So there you have it.
Well, hey, end of the main topics. Always ending on an up note. That's what we do around here. But anyway, yeah, that's the show.
the 3 viewers is down to like -3 at this point.
They are standing there actively warning people away from don't look, do not watch.
Do not watch.
But that's a show, everybody.
Yay.
As sparse as it is with just the two of us, we are so glad to be back and to see you all again. And we will do our, hopefully Valentina will be back. Uh-oh. Right at the end of the show, Chad added Google. Oh, boy. Okay. That happened. We move towards the end of the show with community news. As always, whether you are watching us live on YouTube or listening on the audio feed afterwards, we would love it if you would pop over to iTunes and give the show a rating. 4 and 5-star ratings are great. They help the show get discovered more easily. They help other new people find the show and grow the community. Not just the community that listens to the podcast, but the We Make Movies community itself, which is an awesome and great group of people. And I think I would venture to say deserves your support. This Wednesday, I feel like you should do the weekly announcements of what's going to be happening now, because I can't be there anymore.
Oh right, yeah. Anyway, this Wednesday at the Sacred Fools main stage, but it might also actually I don't think it's going to be in the main stage this week. It's probably going to be in the second stage. But whatever, when you get there, you'll be able to see the signs and just follow the signs. We're having our regular old writers workshop, so come on down. Also, this Wednesday, you're gonna hear the last installment of mine and Jared's. I don't know how you say that. My and Jared Bogosian's pilot Yo-Yo. It will be read this week, so come check it out. The last of 3 parts. And back to you for Patreon.
Speaking of Jared, I forgot to mention that he has left a couple of comments during the show. First of all, he's very hopeful of getting the ticket that is being given away to the Patreon people. And then he also said, sorry?
1 of 40.
Yes. 40. And then he also said that Ethereum does have its own digital currency, has its own market value similar to Bitcoin. The long string of numbers and letters is a sort of digital currency wallet, which I guess is how they sort of keep it secure or whatever. I don't understand you kids and your Bitcoins. And finally, We Make Movies is the only filmmaking community in the world, so far as we know, that is entirely supported by its own community, and that happens mostly at patreon.com/We Make Movies. You can go there, support at various levels. You get various rewards. There are all sorts of cool and awesome rewards, but you also help us put on the events that we do, which are free for anyone to attend. You also put money into our rolling production fund, which is used to actually fund projects by We Make Movies, so that we can make movies, which is what we do. We make movies. We make movies. That's what we do.
Though you are part of the we. Once you are part of the
yes, and once you're in, you are in the we.
You are in the we.
Are you?
We are in.
This
the
got
you.
kind of weird.
It did.
If you don't want a Patreon account, or you don't want to do a subscription sort of deal, you can also just go and donate via PayPal at wemakemovies.org/donate, and there's a button there where you can go and donate.
But there's also a subscription through PayPal.
Through PayPal, yes, that is also as well.
Yes. Anyway.
That is also as well. So go check it out, see what you can get for being a We Make Movies supporter. It's pretty awesome, and you're pretty awesome if you do it. Not to overinflate your ego, but I like you more when you support We Make Movies. We end as always with things to know. My thing to know, I've got another book coming out in 16 days. I'm still finalizing it. I'm not done with it yet. Ha! No, it'll be done in time and everything like that. It's called Were Mage. You can find it on Amazon. You can also just go to Amazon and search my name and look for it. It's up there on pre-order. Check it out. I think you might like it.
Nice. I also have things to know. We've already kind of talked about some of them. Stranger Things is so fantastic. If you're a fan of John Carpenter, you're going to love it. The score is really fantastic. If you're a child of the 80s, you will absolutely love it. You will also absolutely love, whether or not you are a child of the 80s, but particularly if you are, Baz Luhrmann's The Get Down, also on Netflix. We've also already talked about that. I do not suggest you start watching these late at night, however, because it's very difficult to stop watching them. I, in fact, when I watched The Get Down, could not turn it off until I watched the whole damn thing, which I was done at about 3 a.m. and still could not go to sleep because it excited me that much. It reminded me of when I first saw breakdancing happening back in the 80s. Anyway, it's really cool. One is set, Stranger Things is set in 1983, but the Get Down is actually set in 1977, but you're just talking about the very, very, very beginnings of breakdancing and of hip hop, etc. So check them out. You will really enjoy them. I will eat my hat if you do not. Also, like we said earlier, Luke Cage, September 30th. I'm so excited. That is all.
Huzzah. And with that, with an actual outro, we come to the end of the We Make Movie. Yeah,
exciting.
Yeah, are you fucking kidding me? Let's try this again. The iPad was charging
talk to them
during the show.
Nope. Talk to them. No?
Nope.
That would have been fun to bring them onto the show, whoever that was.
Nope. Pretty sure they were calling for my wife because she's using my phone right now. With that, we come to the end of the We Make Movies Film Geeks podcast. Thank you so much for watching live, listening. If you listen to us afterwards on the audio feed, I am Garrett Robinson. You can find me at garrettbrobinson.com. Chad can be found online at superfreako.com. You can find We Make Movies at wemakemovies.org, and we'll see you next week, everyone. Goodbye.